Just when you think it couldn't get any worse, parents across the country are now unable to find baby formula because of the supply chain shortages. You've probably already seen these pictures going around on social media. Stores all across the country with shelves barren. Right now, this might be the biggest issue for some families out there, whether or not they're going to be able to feed their child. Now, a couple years ago when we had the toilet paper shortages, it was irritating, but it was almost kind of comedic when you really thought about it. However, this is far worse than just not having something to wipe your ass with. Hell, it's worse than the standard food shortages we're already having in some areas. Mostly because if you can't find the food you normally want to eat, you can still buy bags of rice, beans, and other cheap foods. But when we're talking about baby formula shortages, this is something there is no real replacement for. So I have a 1-year-old and another child actually on the way here pretty soon. And, my wife and I have been very fortunate that actually breastfeeding worked out very well for our first kid and will probably work out pretty well for our second, more than likely. Unfortunately, that's not the case for all families out there, though. Many families struggle with breastfeeding. Some cases it's just because the mom's out working and is unable to feed the child. Others it's because the mom just simply cannot produce enough. Sometimes the child cannot physically tolerate breast milk. And when those situations arise, they have to have formula. Formula isn't just for lazy parents, like I've seen some people say. No, for some families, this is a necessity they must have in order to feed their child. So what happens to these families when over 40% of these major formula brands are sold out in 26 states currently, according to a Fox News study? What do these parents do while their children just go hungry? Well, a mom in Florence, South Carolina has been going viral for her post recounting what she saw while shopping for formula. She said, "I saw an obviously frantic and distressed dad, almost in a jog towards the baby area, which is where I was going also. We both ended up looking at the empty formula shelves and he started to cry, tears rolling down his face. I asked which formula he was looking for and he said he drove all the way from the beach after going to all the Walmarts and Targets there and saw the Walmart in Florence had the formula, but it didn't. I helped him look and he just kept saying, I don't know what to do. This is the only formula she can tolerate. She has to have high calorie." As tears continued to stream down his face, he said, I never thought I would be crying because I can't find what my child has to have. And my heart goes out to this guy, right? I mean, imagine what you would do in his shoes. Your child is going hungry because the formula they need is not in stock anymore. And to top it all off, while your child is over there crying because they're hungry and are unable to get the nutrients they need, the government is out here sending pallets of formula to the southern border for illegal immigrants. Yes, you heard that right. While American families are suffering across the country because of the supply chain crash the government caused through their terrible lockdown strategy, the government is now sending pallets of food and formula over to illegal immigrants over at the southern border. A post from Kat Kamick, a congresswoman over in Florida, states, "The first photo is from this morning at the Ursula Processing Center at the U.S. border. Shelves and pallets packed with baby formula. The second is from a shelf right here at home. Formula is scarce. This is what America last looks like." In response to that, a New York Post article has a statement from Texas Governor Greg Abbott that really helps put things into perspective here. Greg Abbott said Biden has turned a blind eye to parents across America who are facing the nightmare of a nationwide baby formula shortage. While mothers and fathers stare at empty grocery store shelves in a panic, the Biden administration is happy to provide baby formula to illegal immigrants coming across the southern border. The governor added, "This is yet another one in a long line of reckless, out-of-touch priorities from the Biden administration when it comes to securing our border and protecting Americans. Our children deserve a president who puts their needs and survival first, not one who gives critical supplies to illegal immigrants before the very people he took an oath to serve." There are parents in this country who have a harder time feeding their children than illegals who came over here and violated our laws. What signal does this send to, for one, the people who, of course, want to cross the border illegally, and two, the American people who are currently struggling now more than ever? Billions of dollars to Ukraine, pallets of formula to illegal immigrants, and who's left holding the check? The American people, like always. Now, I want to make this clear. I do not want the government to come in and try to rescue us from this crisis. Mostly because they're the ones who created this with their authoritarian lockdowns that did nothing but destroy our supply chains in the first place. I want them to stand aside. I want them to stand aside and allow businesses to fully reopen again. I want them to stop taking valuable supplies and giving them to criminals. I want them to stop spending billions of dollars in foreign conflicts and instead allow the American people to keep more of their hard-earned income so that they can provide for their families. The government is the problem, not the solution. But what do you think? Am I being too harsh? Do we have an obligation to give formula to these illegals? And for the parents out there, how has it been trying to find formula near you? Let me know in the comments below. Either way, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to be seeing you again real soon.